1 second, please. We do it live. How's this week been, by the way, everyone? What plans do we got for the weekend? I'm doing my honey-do list. I've been so freaking busy with all this crazy news and just stuff we've been building that, and also just the wonderful holidays we haven't had time to just do stuff around my house. So, the honey-do list must be done. Here we go. Stop. Make it big. We do it live. Oh, that's great. I love that view. So, Matt Taibbi is pointing out the system wasn't balanced. It was based on context because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left, while Democrats than the right. And then he referenced this open secrets, and we can see, quite a bit of lobbying money spent, $1.7 million in 21, and then just about 1 million in 22. Interesting. And so who received that money from Twitter? The answer is Ro Khanna, Raphael Warnock, Democratic Party of Wisconsin, Charles Booker, Sherry Beasley, Mandela Barnes, Fair Fight PAC, John Fetterman. We've seen that name around. Maggie Hassan and Evan McMillan. So, these, as you can see, are looks like all blue. Let's see if there's any reds. One Republican was interesting. Yeah, so $250 went to the Republicans. How do you read this? Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll keep on. So just a lot of money went to political parties, looks like. The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it's also the assessment of multiple current former high-level executives. Yeah, and that happens all the time. You'll see, like, there's the changing of the guard in a company, and all of a sudden the whole company tips a certain direction. Code bug. He says, my biggest issue is rules not being applied equally. It seems to be too often one side makes a rule, but it's only applied to those on the opposing side. Yeah, I agree that the whole, like, fair treatment under the law needs to be observed. That's really what I have issues about. And that's why Web3 and crypto is so important. That it really does lay the whole landscape flat, because it doesn't matter whether you have a little bit of Bitcoin, for example, or a lot of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going to be a respecter of persons, right? It just code is law. And or even a rule is created in a bipartisan vote and is still only gets applied to one side, and it doesn't matter the side. It matters the rule of law should be equally applied. Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think most people in crypto, who've been here for a while, and like they really understand the framework of how crypto works. You see people really valuing free speech, really valuing understanding even dissenting opinions, just so they can understand each other, and they're grappling with ideas. They're not insulting people necessarily. I mean, they might ingest, but it really becomes more of an intellectual endeavor. But the resulting slant. Okay, there was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it. Let's jump forward. I can hear that Matt Taibbi's voice. The Twitter files, part 1, how and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story. So on October 14th, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails and an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. And then here's the link here. Yeah, this whole story was like pushed down, and the timing for it was really dishonest too, because people weren't talking about uh, the integrity of both candidates and their policies. They were um, using social media and mainstream media to kind of tip things in favor. Um, and 18, Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it may be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool hitherto reserved for extreme cases like in Chomo. Um, so yeah, this is actually a topic that Web3 has to deal with, where like if you have things on a blockchain like and they're nefarious, how do you navigate that? Because obviously, if things are illegal, um, we don't want things like Chomo on a blockchain where it can't be taken down, and that's part of the conversation of governance, right? And each blockchain has its own governance, so that's why like Bitcoin being money focused is really not it doesn't have to deal with those issues in the same like level. Like you can still put messages and whatnot on Bitcoin, but um, I suppose you could write messages on the back of a dollar bill too, couldn't you? Um, 19. The White House spokesman Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump's campaign staffer Mike Hahn, who seethed. At least pretend to care for the next 20 days. Let's take a look at that. Yep. So Kayleigh McEnany has been locked out from her account for simply talking about the New York Post story. All she did was cite the story and firsthand reporting that reporting that has been reported by other outlets and not disputed by the Biden campaign. I need answers immediately on when/how she should be unlocked. I also don't appreciate, nice spelling, how nobody on this team called me regarding the news that you'll be censoring news articles. Like I said, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Um 20. This led public policy executive Carolyn Strom to send out a polite WTF query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms policy, who had little less control over moderation and safety trust teams. Are you able to take a closer look here? Thank you. Yeah. Yop. Strom's note returned the answer that the laptop story has been removed for a violation of company's hacked materials policy. That's cool. Web Archive's awesome. Hi, Caroline. Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity. I'm assuming that's like a program they have for violating our hacked materials policy. Adding them here for further insight and guidance. Okay, so they were trying to say that the laptop story couldn't be there because it violated hacked materials policy. I wonder how that affects like information security posts, if they're going to apply that standard that way. Interesting. Okay, 22. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from the federal law enforcement that summer was, or that summer, what the hell? Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign attacks. Oh, that summer, I get it. There's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. Interesting. That's kind of written like crap. See, I gotta read that again just for my own brain. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from the federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks. All the foreign nation state hackers like North Korea and Russia and a lot of the STAN countries in the Northeast. There's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. 23, the decision was made at the highest level of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with formal head of legal and policy and trust, Vijaya Gotti, playing a key role. And real quick, shout outs to Tim Pool and Joe Rogan for actually having that conversation facilitated, because Tim Card was kind of a wild card to have on that Joe Rogan experience, because Tim Pool is just this, he's a skateboarder who literally just shows up. He started his career by just showing up to events, turning his camera on, and just recording what was happening, and literally just being a on the ground news correspondent. And there's power in that. And Joe Rogan had just observed that he was asking some good questions and brought him on, and he was asking Vijaya Gotti really, really good questions and kind of holding her feet to the fire with how Twitter would handle policy decisions. And they kind of danced around, and it turned out that she and her team were applying things against how they had said they would on that Joe Rogan Experience podcast. So very interesting. 24, they just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. Interesting. 25, you can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gade and the former trust and safety chief, Yoel Roth. Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marketing this as unsafe. Yeah, let's read this. On October 14th, NY Post, Hunter Biden laptop article, privileged and confidential. Our teams continue to investigate the origins of the material included in the reporting. Trenton Kennedy, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marketing this as unsafe, and I think the best, explainability argument for this externally would be that we're waiting to understand if the story is the result of hacked materials. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking the link unsafe. Yeah, you think? So right there, this is like straight up banhammer, greased palms action, right? Trenton Kennedy and Katie Rossborough. Will we also mark similar stories as unsafe? That's a good question. Let's answer that. And then that's cool. And then gave another article from Fox News on the whole hard drive laptop situation. Muy interesante. Come on. Potty mouth time. 26. By this point, everyone knew that this was farked, said one former employee, but the response was essential to err on the side of continuing to err. Err on the side of continuing to err. That's good. So Yoel Roth, the policy basis is hacked materials, though as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. Given the several risks here and lessons of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. Oh, so he was very specifically trying to hush it. that rhetoric amplified means there's an agenda. Vijay got a what is the warning that will come up? And Yul Roth said new. When you click the link, you'll see the generic unsafe URL references spam, malware, and violations of Twitter rules. Not ideal, but it's the only thing we have. Oh, man, how sad. Ian Plunkett knew whatever we do in the comms, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Let's make it clear we are proactively but cautiously interpreting this through the lens of our hacked materials policy and allowing the link with a warning and significant reduction of spread. Huh. Man, that's I hate seeing this kind of stuff, man, because it shows just I don't know, that just really what's under the hood of a lot of these news stories we see on the surface. 27, former VP of Global Comms, Brandon Borman asks, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy? New to Ian's point, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy? An example, as part of our approach to addressing potentially hacked materials, we are limiting visibility of related stories on Twitter while our investigation is ongoing. Man, that sucks. Yeah, Rory Culgan. Can't say I'm surprised. Those in power have been stripping freedoms from the U.S. people since I've been alive. Yeah, yeah. This is crazy stuff, man. 26, to which former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker again seems to advise saying the non-course because caution is warranted. Let's read. Jim Baker knew privileged and confidential. That's an email tag certifying probably data loss prevention. I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. At this stage, however, it is reasonable for us to assume that they may have been, and that caution is warranted. There are some facts that indicate the materials have been hacked, while there are others indicating that the computer was either abandoned or the owner consented to allow the repair shop to access it for at least some purpose. We simply need more information. Yeah. Interesting how they're kind of looking at the whole thing. They're looking at it like I can concede maybe on one point. You want to make sure like it's not something that's like against national security, for example, being a US based country, or US based company. But this is political censorship is the problem. Yeah, 29. A fundamental problem with tech companies and content moderation, many people in charge of free speech or in charge of speech know and care little about speech and have to be told the basics by outsiders. Yeah, that's certainly true. And I've seen this in my time in business too. You have people who are in these like high up titles, and you're just like, how did you get in the role you're in? I'm not seeing skills I think are becoming of your title, and I think it's just who you know a lot of the time. If you know the right people, a lot of times you can get the right opportunities, and you end up being in charge of people you have no business being in charge of. But you know, on like a Web3 crypto perspective, that's the beauty of what we do. We have the ability to say, you know what, I don't like this system. And instead of being hyper aggressive to the system, instead what I'm going to do is actually learn skill sets and get my hands in the ground and actually start building things that I want to see exist in the world. I want to start finding people who have similar visions to me and see if we can't build something better than the system we didn't like, right? And that's what Web3 and crypto and in general, where freedom tech is really going, right? And blockchain, just as a highly secure database technology, is key to maintaining that integrity. And that's why a lot of these like philosophical ideas really go hand in hand with a blockchain technology, because blockchains are really, really, really difficult to spoof. It's not just like a SQL database where if you can have the keys, you can get in and change it. It takes way, way, way more, exponentially more effort to hack a blockchain against its real security. The biggest risk with blockchains is people just having bad operational security. So that's why we have this hashtag dirty shovel gang, hashtag dirty shovel gang. You know, we want to make sure if people want to take what's ours, they literally have to come physically to wherever we're storing these things, and they'll see us standing there with a fucking shovel, you know. So let's see. So 29, a fundamental problem with tech companies and content moderation. Many people in charge of speech know and care little about speech and have to be told the basics by outsiders. To wit, 30. In one humorous exchange on day one, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna reaches out to Gotti to gently suggest she hop on the phone to talk about the backlash re-speech. Khanna was the only Democratic official I could find in the files who expressed concern. So this is October 14th. Generating huge backlash on Hill re-speech. Happy to chat if you're up for it. Best row sent from my iPhone. I love that when people don't change the signature on their phones and it's like sent from Android, sent from my iPhone. I don't look through my settings. Gotti replies quickly, immediately diving into the weeds of Twitter policy. Unaware, Khanna is more worried about the Bill of Rights. Cool. Hi, Congressman Khanna. Thank you for reaching out. We appreciate the heads up. We put out a clarifying thread of tweets earlier this evening to explain our policy around the posting of private information and linking directly to hacked materials. The press secretary's account was not permanently suspended. We requested that she delete the tweet containing materials that is in violation of our rules, and her account is restricted until she complies. I'd be happy to jump on the phone if helpful. My team in DC, Jessica and Lauren, are copied here and are also available to discuss. Thanks, Vijaya. I will say that her penmanship professionally is polished, so I commend her for that. She can at least speak well. That's a well-written email. Nice job. I hate your implication, but it's a lovely written email. All right. I wonder if hey Taibbi, let's talk, bud. Come on, bud. Where are we at? Man, my ADHD is wild today. Hacked materials. Freelanced it. It's forked. We're on 30. Thank you, Codebooks. You got me. You got me. I'm smart. I'm just tired. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know why I got tripped up. Because we went into this and I was reading that, and then that's not what the title is. We're square. Gotti replies quickly, immediately diving into the weeds of Twitter policy. Unaware, Khanna is more worried about the Bill of Rights. And we read that lovely written email. 32, Khanna tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment mention of what is generally hard to find in the files. Grape soda is hype. All right. Ro Khanna to Vijaya Gotti, Ro Khanna. By the way, that sucks. That email's there. That email's gone. rakana1@gmail.com. Hope you're well, Vijaya, but this seems a violation of First Amendment principles. If there is a hack of classified information or other information that could expose a serious war crime, and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have that right. A journalist should not be held accountable for the illegal actions of the source unless they actively aided the hack. So, to restrict the distributions of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in the keeping of the principles of New York Times versus Sullivan. I say this as a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong, but the story now has become more about censorship than relatively innocuous emails and is becoming a bigger deal than it would have been. It also is now leading to serious efforts to curtail Section 230, many of which would have been a mistake. Interesting. I believe Twitter itself should curtail what is recommends, okay, or puts in trending news. What it recommends. I'm tripping. And your policy against QAnon groups is all good. It's a hard balance. But in the heat of a presidential campaign, restricting dissemination of news articles, even in New York Post, is far right, or even if the New York Post is far right, seems like it will invite more backlash than it will do good. Please keep this communication between just us and Jack, and no need to see the team or forward to them. Just wanted to offer my 2 cents. I don't understand why you would write that in a corporate email on a corporate email system. Like that's Hillary Clinton league too. It's like I don't understand. Because it's so impossible for someone to do an e-discovery export. So hard. I'm going up. Going up. 33. Within a day, head of public policy, Lauren Culbertson, receives a ghastly letter and report from Carl Zaba of the research firm NetChoice, which had already pulled 12 members of Congress, 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Chu's office. Interesting. Subject recap of Hill convos about Biden and air quotes censorship. Lauren Culbertson, Steve Del Bianco, Robert Winterton, Chris Marchese. Lauren, yesterday, NetChoice's Chris Marchese met informally with 9 Republicans and 3 Democrat House staffers to gather intel and Faceballs and Twitter and the New York Post story. The staffers hail from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Chu's office. Yep, that happened. So, bipartisan report basically saying they pulled him, like whether it was a good idea or not, right? To censor people, man. Yeah. So 34. Why do I keep clicking? Stop it. Stop clicking. 34. NetChoice lets Twitter know a bloodbath awaits in upcoming Hill hearings, with members saying it's a tipping point. Complaining tech has grown so big that they can't even regulate themselves, so government may need to intervene. Yeah, we talk about that quite a bit on DCTV because it bleeds so much into what we do. High level takeaway: every Republican said this is a tipping point, it's just too much, and both Democrat and Republicans were angry. Yeah, I mean that's at least cool. That's at least cool to see like more people on both political leanings don't like the idea of censoring the censoring reporters and that's good. Like that actually gives me hope that we have more people in political office that even though they're good with having people pull strings and whatnot, it's not just a sweeping, yeah, sure, just throw it out. We'll just completely censor our political opponents. That's a good thing. That people can agree that that's terrible to censor political opponents, right? You should have to discuss on the merits of your ideas and let the ideas go toe to toe. But I wanted to talk a bit about this government regulation comment, right? So we're running into this in the whole crypto space right now, where there's a lot of tech that's moving faster than I think people are able to, one, understand, even if they do it every day, and two, if they're not technical, it's really hard for people just to kind of keep up. And especially in political offices, you have a lot of people who are from older generations who may not have kept up with technology kind of as it's evolved. They're part of a much later what's the zero about? They're part of like baby boomers or really early Gen X, or there may even be some people older than that, like people like Bernie Sanders, right? But they only accept technology when they have to. Like, they only get a cell phone because everyone has a cell phone, and it's cheaper to get a cell phone than to have a landline, and then they can call their kids and text them and see pictures of their grandkids or whatever. Like, that's a lot of the people we see in big business and in not just big business, but also in politics, right? And so for like crypto being so big and fast and cutting edge, we run into this issue constantly, where like I'm a blockchain engineer and architect, and I'm over here, focusing on like, okay, how can I, integrate these smart contracts, and I'm doing all this deep technical stuff and mining and whatnot. But even for me, I have to like constantly be reading white papers and staying current because there's just so much to know. And so like I think we're breaking a lot of the molds that traditional systems have followed the patterns for, and we have to be active. We, like everyone who's part of this DCTV community, we have to be active in understanding the technology and communicating it well to other people, so they understand why it's important for you to hold your own data, right? People can ideally, like with Web3, you can build systems that can connect to people's own hosted data, but they can't like delete your data. What they can do is say, on our platform, we're not going to show that data, right? But for example, like even on Twitter right now, like you don't own your tweet, right? Like you tweet something out, Twitter as a platform could take it down, and in the past that's happened. Now that it's under new management, we'll see what happens. But these are centralized system problems, and we shouldn't be having centralized system problems if we just find decentralized systems and really move to them, right? So with DCTV, you have our full commitment. We will constantly be giving you our firsthand experience with these systems as they're emerging, so that you can test them out if it makes sense to you. So yeah, there's a bloodbath. So NetChoice lets Twitter know a bloodbath awaits in upcoming Hill hearings, with members saying it's a tipping point. Complaining tech has grown so big that they can't even regulate themselves, so government may need to intervene. Szabo reports to Twitter that some Hill figures are characterizing the laptop story as tech's access Hollywood moment. When asked just how bad the situation is, one staffer said it's tech's access Hollywood moment, and it has no Hillary to hide behind. Oh no. Others were more blunt. Tech is screwed, and rightfully so. Interesting lookout. This is badass. Yep. What's up, Deadmaster J? What's up, Cobug? What's up, Rory Colgan? Elijah Owens, what's up? So 36. Twitter files continued. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Szabo's letter containing I can't read right now. Shit. Szabo's letter contains chilling passages relaying Democratic lawmakers' attitudes. They want more moderation, and as for the Bill of Rights, it's not absolute. Ooh. Yeah, that'll get some people hot and bothered pretty quick, saying that your Constitution and Bill of Rights is not absolute. Those are them's fighting words, right? So the Democrats, meanwhile, complained that the companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the waters and make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. They linked this to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong. Okay. But because the press wouldn't let the story go, it became a scandal far out of proportion. In their mind, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content. So when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderate if companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. Man, the spin on this is nuts. The spin on this is nuts, dude. What's up, Don Fron? Welcome to the party. Man, I'm like spinning in my chair right now reading this paragraph here. The Democrats were in agreement. Social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. When pushed on how the government might insist on that, consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Yikes. Yeah, how does how does this like write up make everybody in the chat feel? Like tell me. Like, I'm like, man, I this I'm gonna read this again. Just like spin in your chair with me. The Democrats, meanwhile, complained that companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the waters and make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. They linked this to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong, but because the press wouldn't let the story go, it became a scandal far out of proportion. In their mind, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content. So when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. The Democrats were in agreement social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. This is projection, dude. This is wild projection. What's up, Chris Anderson, Dogelord Coffee, shoutouts. When pushed on how the government might insist on that, consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Ugh. I'm gonna go like perch a bald eagle on my wrist and howl at the moon. America. All right. It's not absolute. Yeah, Rory Culligan. Yeah. Damn spotting words. I mean, it is though. Like to question your God-given rights. That's the issue, right? The issue is like natural law. So the idea that God or nature, John Locke, this whole idea, is God or nature has endowed you with inalienable rights. You have a right to life, liberty, and property, and you do not have the right to infringe on another person's life, liberty, or property. And Christians worded it in the way of all people have the image of God. The natural law says that all people have the same equal rights and they ought to be respected. So, like this whole concept of like live and let live is it's pretty important. And what I don't mean is like don't interact with people. I mean don't steal people's crap. Don't physically harm people. Don't uh you know don't impose on people's ability to freely travel down the road, right? Like that's life, liberty, and property function, right? You can't treat people like property. Yeah. So 36. It's not absolute. an amazing subplot of the Twitter Hunter Biden laptop affair was how much was done without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey and how long it took for the situation to get unforked. As an ex-employee put it, even after Dorsey jumped in. Man, I've seen that happen though. This is a great example of why you have to keep your house in order. It's that whole idea of like everyone around you, you have to be investing in them. You have to know, what's going on in their lives and show genuine interest. You have to cast vision and show people where we can go, and help people be becoming of the most that's within them. And like that's what really good leadership will do. It'll see the potential in someone and love them through it. But like this is a good example of just the company getting so big that the leadership wasn't able to actually effectively do that. So I have a lot of opinions about organizations getting so big that they become ineffective in their sole cause. So that really can happen. Yeah, Rory. This is why I love decentralized versions of currency like Bitcoin or Dogecoin or just silver and gold. Yeah, I mean they is what they is, right? Like you can't you can't fake it. What's up? Crusaders? Smash that like button. We're really trying to focus on whenever hot things are going on, just making sure as a community we're hanging out, we're discussing the ideas together. This is as much of your show as it is ours. So thanks for chilling with me this wonderful Friday evening. So while reviewing Gotti's emails, I saw a familiar name, my own. Dorsey sent her a copy of my Substack article blasting the incident. Interesting. With the Hunter Biden expose, suppression is a bigger scandal than the actual story. From Jack Tipajaya. From Matt Taibbi, no kidding. Look at Jack's email. Jack at 0.pizza. That's too rad. With the Hunter Biden expose, suppression is a bigger scandal than the actual story. Yeah. Oh, what's up? What's up, redhead libertarian? I see you. Pajaya out here making the Oath Keepers look like Paw Patrol. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Thanks, Don Fron. TLDR is Twitter has had a lot of people in their ranks, not all the way up to the CEO, but underneath, who have been talking with political representatives and accepting money from them and suppressing information to people who are doing favors for them. So there's a bunch of money and services happening under the hood that are contrary to Bill of Rights and constitutional protections. So, and then when asked about it, they come up with some farce story functionally saying they have an issue with this article because it violates their hacker policy, right? Hacked data policy, which it doesn't. It's perfectly within constitutional protections. So while there are multiple instances in the files of Dorsey's intervening to questions, suspicions, and other moderation actions, 4 accounts across the political spectrum. Okay, I wonder if there's more. Yeah, I don't really appreciate all of the identitarianism, right? Like I think that's one of the big dangers in politics. People begin to basically reduce the value and the intricacy of humanity, and they say, "Oh, you're just other, you know, it's me and my kind, and then other, right? And whenever you treat people as other, you'll quickly find yourself dehumanizing those people, and you become less effective in your own leadership because of that. So I don't really appreciate how a lot of people on the left and the right see the people on the other side as other. Instead, they should be looking at, like, yeah, we disagree on these specific policies, but let's discuss the merits of those ideas. And we have a representative government in the United States where we vote for candidates that represent our positions generally, and they're supposed to represent our generalized positions. So I don't see that happening so much, though. I see a lot of big money changing hands and basically suppressing the effectiveness of each individual's vote for their own representation. So it's muzzling at the end of the day is really Stephen Vigilante. That's funny. Time to change Nancy Pelosi's diaper. that's I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I think she's got caretakers that do that. Let's see if any new things. Let's see if there's any new things, man. Interesting. Let's go over to Elon and see if there's anything else on there. I know that's where a lot of this was being announced. So. Yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, would it not be great if we could have rational adult conversations with each other on these things instead of a megaphone yelling across the street? It's exactly that type of scenario, though. It's just like you just stoke flames and treat people as other, and it doesn't encourage the conversation. Like it's the whole idea of like cooler heads prevail, right? When people calm down and they seek to actually understand each other, even if there's a difference of like opinion, you're still able to extend that like that humanitarian respect to one another. Like I see you, you see me. We can disagree, but at least we understand each other. The problem is when it starts becoming existential, right? So like if someone literally threatens your life, at that point they have forfeited the rules of civility, right? So and you have the right to defend yourself constitutionally and by natural law. So pretty interesting. Yeah, Rory, this is funny. Red team good, blue team bad. What could go wrong with that type of thing, dude? It's exactly that, though. And like, and that's why like crypto, you'll find some of that, but for the most part, it's people who are like, can we ask better questions? Can we have better conversations? Like, can we, instead of saying these people are good and these people are bad, can we have more nuanced conversations and seek to understand each other? Because like what I've found through asking people who do disagree with me what they think about different situations, I find a lot of times there's just ideas that they haven't been introduced to, and you're not going to help them be introduced to these new ideas and give them time to wrestle through the ideas and see what their actual positions are on them if all you do is insult them and call them names. You know what I mean? Like when you bring the fallacy of ad hominem into a logical discussion, what you've functionally done is said, I don't value you. I don't value any contribution you might make to this conversation, and therefore I need to dehumanize you in order to make myself feel bigger. And so like let's not be those kinds of people, man, for real. Let's build things that are going to last beyond our lifetime. So, so Elon just said handled. So let's make sure that was the whole thing. We didn't miss it all. Well, no, I want the thread, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing? And so like this is a lot of the issues I have too with people who are just in cult of personality with like any team. Like politics aren't team sports, first off, and second off, they end up just kind of like picking their fighter in Mortal Kombat, and you know, that's kind of how it devolves to. Instead of like, hey, what policies do you actually think are important? They just say, this guy's a dickhead. And it's like, really? That guy's a dickhead? That's the reason? You don't have like an issue with the policy. You have an issue with, you know, the guy being a dickhead. So like that's kind of the conversation we're having right now with all this like Hunter Biden type stuff. This isn't a blue team bad, red team good thing. This is a, hey, that's illegal and you lied about it, and you lied about it and had big business in on it. And where else has that happened, right? Because if it happened in one place, it's happened in other places more likely than not, right? Like people don't usually bury one single bone in their closet. There's usually like a lot of bones if there's one. It's that idea, right? Code blood. Yeah, dude. Let's plant trees whose shade we will not see, but our children will sit under. Isn't that beautiful? It's like we got to get busy because we believe in making a better future for our kids and our grandkids, and we'll include live Q&A, huh? Well, let's get into that. Yeah, people flaming him for being late. Man, he was way late. It wasn't a little bit late. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole like accusation of stolen election, and because this is more a matter of election integrity, right? This is a matter of just integrity of information. Are people getting a real view of the world, or are people given a highly censored view of the world that's going to tip them into doing something that's contrary to what they would have done if they had been informed? That's, you know, that's the big issue here. And I really hope things get better from here. That's what I really hope, right? What the hell? Yeah. I only drink the blood of my enemies and occasionally a strawberry you. Oh my goodness. That's good. Yeah. The thing I hate about social media is there's just so much like shit posting. There's so much shit posting. To find something that's actually like worth your time spent is rare, and that's why we want to like contribute to the conversation more. Where to go? I know there's more going on right now. What's going on with like this Matt to EB trending? Interessante. So I think the TLDR of this whole story is that we had people in Twitter take or really give lobby money to political candidates, and then the political candidates were also asking for favors. And yeah, yeah, Rory, I have the Data Lord Builds channel. You can find that on YouTube. But right now I'm really just doing a bunch of stuff with DCTV. I do some philosophical, morning thought shorts on my channel, but all the crypto stuff is for sure over here. We also I read white papers on there for anyone who wants to get into engineering. So hopefully, what I found is like to get into blockchain engineering, I personally had to have people around me who just kind of like showed me monkey see, monkey do. So I'm trying to provide that too for people, and really give like a pair programming setup where you can kind of sit next to me. We can work through stuff together and ask questions together and just kind of explore the depths of these technical caves, right? And Also, we have a lot of conversations like this all the time on our DCTV Discord. If you look in our description, you'll see, we have a link to our DCTV Discord there. So I encourage everyone to go to our DCTV Discord and really start getting that conversation going in there, because we're in there all day long. Like, you have access to ask us questions, and even if we're face down in some work, we can certainly answer your questions. We'll make shorts on it. We've done that with the majority of the questions people have asked in our Discord. So please get involved in there, because we really do want to help everyone grow together and build cool stuff, and just kind of be a tribe that hangs out on the internet across the world. So like, it's pretty fun. And we have a lot of different types of people and types of skills. We have people who are traders, not like Judas, but more like stock and crypto traders, like Don Fron. Shout out to Don Fron show, and our lovely Own the Chaos, Brad Smith, and Jaime. He's been doing a lot of crypto experiments with me. He's really good at like mining and operations, and communicating technical things to different people. And then I have a very strong like technology background. Tamp has a very very strong ground game. She really knows how to like talk to business people and get them hooked up with the right people. She's really good at looking and scouting different crypto projects specifically within the Cosmos ecosystem, but not exclusively. And because of that, she constantly brings things up to my attention, like, dude, you got to check this out. I really think this is a keeper. And I'll dig on it and be like, no, she's right. This is gold. So no matter what area of interest you have in crypto, if you're in our Discord, I'll make sure we get connected and introduce the right people, so we can build a strong, tight-knit community that's having fun and hanging out. But I think for this this whole Twitter thing, I think it's kind of done. I think the whole story was not what's on the Hunter Biden laptop, but more just how Twitter suppressed the information and how that kind of happened, and what Twitter's trying to give a public commitment to do in the future moving forward. So yeah, I think unless there's new information, I'll make some shorts and kick it out that way. But for right now, continue the conversation over in our Discord, link in the description. And if you don't have a hardware wallet to keep your crypto safe, link in the description too for a ledger. And until next time, keep calm and hodl on.